What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's world title fight at 160 pounds between the champion Kazakh style Janibek Alimkhanuly taking on the undefeated African Anuel Ngamissengue. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please hit subscribe? Also, like this video and be sure to hit the bell notification button. You can find that on the bottom of your screen so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. Guys, we have a huge weekend of boxing once again. There's 4 major events. Today we're going to cover the main event taking place in Kazakhstan. This would be the first ever live world title defense in Kazakhstan between the champion Kazakh style Janibek Alimkhanuly, who is undefeated. He's the IBF and WBO world champion at 160 pounds. He's taking on another undefeated African French fighter named Ngamissengue. So these are 2 fun names to say. Moving forward in the video, we're going to refer to Kazakh style simply as Janibek, even though his last name Alimkhanuly is very fun to say. It's spelled Alimkhanuly, but if you want to properly learn, Alimkhanuly. And then the African, we're going to call him, obviously by his last name, Ngamissengue. So in today's video, we're going to break down both fighters' careers. We're going to educate everyone, if you're unaware, who they are, what they've been up to. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of this fight, what's at stake. I will go over Las Vegas odds, and stay tuned to the end of the video because I will give you my prediction and tell you where to put your money so you can make the most of it. Before we continue, I want to share a little bit more about this event and remind everybody what's at stake. Guys, unified middleweight world champion Janibek, who's 16-0 with 11 knockouts, will defend his WBO and IBF titles against Anuel Ngamissengue, who's 14-0 with 9 knockouts. The fight will take place on Saturday, April 5th in Astana, Kazakhstan. The newly founded Nomad Promotions will stage the event in association with Top Rank, and the fight will be screened on ESPN Plus in the US. It will be the first world title defense to take place in Kazakhstan in modern history. Now based in California, Alimkhanuly, who is ranked #1 by Ring Magazine, hasn't boxed in his homeland since his second professional fight, which took place back in 2017. It has been an open secret that the 31-year-old southpaw would return home to make a voluntary defense of his titles. In recent weeks, rumors have swirled about who would be in the opposite corner, and Ngamissengue has accepted the challenge. Kazakh style is finally coming home. April 5th will be a memorable night as I defend my WBO and IBF world titles against a top opponent, Janibek said in a press release. Many fighters turned down this opportunity, so I credit Anuel for accepting the challenge. My goal is to become the undisputed champion, and Anuel is in my way. The fans in Kazakhstan and everyone watching worldwide will see something special. Ngamissengue has heavy hands and a glossy record, but the undefeated French-Congolese fighter will be taking a monumental step up in levels. The 29-year-old has only taken part in 1 scheduled 10-round contest and has never ventured beyond 8 rounds. His career best victory came in August 2023 when he traveled to Poland and eked out a majority 8-round decision over Fyodor Kachin, who was unbeaten in 22 fights. He boxed once last year, scoring a 3rd-round stoppage of Georgian journeyman Sandro Jajaj. He recently dropped out of the WBO rankings, but sits at #7 with the IBF. Thank you for this long-awaited opportunity. After almost a year and a half of fighting for a chance, this is the most important moment of my life, he said. I know I'm going into the lion's den, but I thrive in situations like this. I respect Janibek and everything he's achieved, but I'm coming to Kazakhstan to crash the party and show the world that I belong. See you April 5th. Guys, Alimkhanuly won the WBO interim title with a 2nd-round stoppage of Britain's Danny Dingham back in May 2022. 3 months later, he was upgraded to full champion when Demetrius Andrade elected to vacate his belt. He became the unified champion in October 23 with a routine 6-round stoppage of Germany's IBF champion Vincenzo Gualtieri. His only appearance since then was a dominant stoppage of Andre Mikhailovich in Sydney, Australia last October. Last July, Alimkhanuly was forced to withdraw from a scheduled title defense against Mikhailovich after he fainted just before the weigh-in. So guys, if you watched that fight down here in Sydney, Janibek was playing with his food. Andre Mikhailovich was outclassed, he was outmanned in that fight, and it looked like Janibek could have ended the fight from the opening bell onwards, and he wanted to stay in there a little bit longer, and he looked dominant. He looked big at 160. I want to remind people, the other champions in that division, you have Carlos Adames and you have Lara. So Janibek holds the WBO and IBF, and he says he wants to become undisputed in that division. This fight is a stepping stone. The French-Congolese fighter, he is going to be a strong dude. He's a powerful puncher. When you watch his highlights, he does wing a lot of his shots. He just bears down, puts his chin down, and just kind of throws bombs. So I just think Janibek's style, his experience will be a little bit too classy to get caught up in that style of fight, but the French Congolese will want to draw him into a firefight. The thing about Janibek is he is a showman in the ring, so you never know. It is boxing. It's a boxer's chance. All it takes is one punch to turn the trajectory of a fight. I want to take a closer look at the French Congolese fighters and see what Ngamissengue's been up to. Guys, Ngamissengue is 14-0 with 9 knockouts. He's currently ranked number 9 in the world at 160 pounds. He has a career 60 pro rounds fought, and the 29-year-old is an orthodox fighter standing at 5'9" with a 71-inch reach. He was born in the Congo. We last saw him fight Janibek, who was 12-32, knockout in the 3rd. Cherkachin, 22-0, majority decision in the 8th. Hache, 9-1, knockout in the 7th. Awano, 8-40, knockout in the 4th. Mama, 4-0, knockout in the 2nd. Guys, it's no secret that this is the biggest fight of his career. It's the biggest step up of opponents in his career. I already told you that he's never fought past 8 rounds. I already told you about some of his opponents' records. Nothing jumps off at the table. Other than that 14-0 record with 9 knockouts, a lot of people aren't giving him a chance in this, but he is a strong puncher. He's going to be there to get a hit. He wants to be in a firefight, and that's going to be his way of winning. He's not going to be moving a lot. He's going to stay in the middle, and he's going to want to test Janibek's ego to see if he has a chance at knocking him out. Let's take a closer look to see what Janibek's been up to. Guys, Janibek is 16-0 with 11 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 69% career knockout to win ratio and is currently ranked number 3 in the world at 160 pounds. The way the BoxRec algorithm is, he's ranked behind Lara and Tszyu Jr., which in the comment section below, let me know if you agree with that, if you think Tszyu Jr. or Lara would beat him. He currently holds the IBF and WBO straps. The Kazakhstan's a 31-year-old southpaw standing at 5'11" with a 71-inch reach. We last saw him in Sydney against Mikhailovich, who was 21-0, knockout in the 9th. Galtieri, 21-0, knockout in the 6th. Butler, 32-3, knockout in the 2nd. Bentley, 17-1, UD in the 12th. Dingham, 14-0, knockout in the 2nd. Like I told you earlier, I feel he could have got Mikhailovich out in the 2nd. Took him 9 rounds. He was switching stances. He was taunting his opponent and then eventually got him out of there. The best way I could explain that, like I said, he was playing with his food. When you get fighters from all around the world, it's tough for the American audience to know who they are. It's tough for these fighters who are from small markets to get big names and big fights. So I always say all they could do is beat who they put in front of them, and that's what both guys have done thus far. I put this up in our community posts and people just said that all Hanalei has done is beat tomato cans, but guys, you can only fight who's put in front of you. I don't hear a lot of people calling Janibek out at 160. Personally, I think he beats Lara, and I think he beats Adames. We have to remember, Adames came up from lower weight classes. Janibek's a big 160. Now, people talk about Hamzat Shiraz for future opponents, but we heard Shiraz after his draw against Adames talk about he's moving up to 168. That cut to 160 was killing him. I'm expecting a dominant performance from Janibek. Before I give you my prediction, let's talk about where Vegas has this fight and where the bettors are putting their money. All right, guys, currently down here in Sydney, I use the Sportsbet betting app. They're only allowing us to take the money line action. If this changes closer to fight night, I'll put that method of victory bet up in the community section if it allows me to take knockout or a specific decision. Right now, money line, 100 on Janibek gets you 19 in return. 100 on Ngamissengue gets you over 500 in return. So Ngamissengue is a 5-1 underdog. A lot of people have never heard of him. Some of you guys have never heard of Hanalei. So fights like this actually excite me. We got a world title fight, 2 belts are on the line. 160-pound division's wide open. You figure whoever wins this fight is going to further push their career trajectory, and I think it's a fun fight. I don't think it's going to last the distance. I'm expecting the African to stand there and want to challenge Janibek's ego. If you watch Janibek's highlight tape, he's going to be there to get hit. I expect a knockout. I'm picking Hanalei to win by knockout. I'm not going to pick around. Now, pick him on your money line. Put him on a parlay. I think that's a safe bet as well. If I do get the odds on what a knockout pays, I'll put in the community section, in the comment section below right now. Let me know how you guys see this fight going. Do you think Kazakh style is going to be and still, or do you think Ngamissengue is going to be and new? Leave all that in the comment section. Welcome everybody to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight at 135 pounds between top prospect Abdullah Mason and late last-second replacement Carlos Ornelas. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. Could you also like this video and go down to the bottom of your screen right now and hit that bell notification button so you can be notified every time I create something that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, this weekend in Las Vegas, we have a busy fight week. There's a card being headlined by Torrez Jr. versus Vianello. On that fight card, we have a fight between rising top prospect turned contender, one-day future champion, some say, Abdullah Mason, as he takes on late replacement Chinito Carlos Ornelas. We know that Abdullah Mason's original opponent, Tszyu Cabrera, recently pulled out due to injury, and in steps Ornelas. We haven't seen Ornelas in over a year and a half. We last saw Mason knock out Manuel Jaimes via 4th round. This fight will go down at 135 pounds. Mason's already ranked in the top 20 globally, and he's only 20 years old. Shiny 17-0 record, 15 knockouts. Don't get it twisted, guys. This is a showcase fight for Mason to once again show off his skills. So in this video, we're going to remind everybody who Abdullah is. We're going to educate everybody who Ornelas is. You might remember Chinito, he did fight Rafa Espinosa. He took him to the distance, and we know about Espinosa's career since his fight with Ornelas in 2021. So he does have some valuable ring experience, but you really have to ask yourself, what have you done for me lately, and what are your goals already at 30 years old entering this 135-pound division against a killer like Mason? So before we continue, let's talk a little bit about this upcoming fight this weekend. All right, guys, Abdullah Mason faces Mexican southpaw Carlos Chinito Ornelas in a 10-round special feature on Saturday, April 5th at the Pearl Concert Theater, Palms Casino Resort in Vegas. Ornelas replaces Giovanni Cabrera, who withdrew from the bout due to an injury. Mason Ornelas is part of a loaded card headlined by the 10-round main event between rising heavyweights Richard Torrez Jr. and Guido Vianello. On that same card, we'll also see junior welterweight standouts Landolfo Delgado and Elvis Rodriguez, who will meet in a high-stakes co-feature scheduled for 10 rounds. Stay tuned to the channel, guys, because I will also be featuring that co-feature. We already featured Deadly Dana Colwell as he's preparing to take on top prospect coming out of Garcia Boxing, Chop Chop Gonzalez. Moving forward, Mason, who's 17-0 with 15 knockouts, who turns 21 on fight day, enters his first scheduled 10-rounder riding a wave of momentum. He knocked out Manuel Jaimes in 4 rounds in February on the Dennis Baranchek-Keyshawn Davis bill in New York City. Mason went 5-0 with 5 early stoppages in 2024 and ascended from a promising prospect to a WonderCon contender. Ornelas, who's 28-4 with 15 knockouts, is the most battle-tested foe of Mason's pro career. A 30-year-old with extensive experience against established Mexican opposition, he has won 3 fights since losing a 10-round decision to Rafael Espinosa in January 2021. Ornelas is coming off a December 2023 decision win over David Moreno Potrero, who entered that bout with a 16-0 record. So like I said earlier, this is still a showcase for Mason. What he's going to get to do is say that he challenged a grizzled Mexican veteran, as well as what boxers and promoters like to do on the rise of contenders is place him against opponents who have high former opposition records, such as Espinosa, and Mason will get to see how he compares. Just like we did in the last video, how we talked about Colwell's coming off a loss to Bruce Shushu Carrington, who's asking for a world title fight at 26, and that's an opportunity for Chop Chop Gonzalez to do to Colwell that Bruce Carrington couldn't do to Colwell, and that's similar here. We know in 2021, Espinosa took Ornelas the whole distance, so coming from Mason's perspective, in his head, his camp, his team, he's going to say, hey, if I could start Ornelas early and do business as usual and get him out of there, I'm ready for a huge fight. And we know the champions at 135, Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Vasily Lomachenko, and Tank Davis. So you put those guys up there on the mountaintop and you take Abdullah's performances up until now versus what he looks like this weekend, we'll have a clear picture on being able to say and tell where Mason is in his development. Right now, I want to take a closer look at Ornelas. Guys, Chinito is 28-4 with 15 knockouts. He carries in the ring a 54% career knockout to win ratio. The Mexican fighter is a 30-year-old southpaw who stands at 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. He has a career of 148 career pro rounds. We last saw him fight Potrero, 16-0 UD in the 10th. Hernandez, 11-4 UD in the 8th. Franco, 35-22 knockout in the 3rd. And then he lost 2 fights in a row, one to Rafa Espinosa, who was 15-0 UD in the 10th, and he got knocked out against Palermo's 12-3. That was a 5th round fight in 2020. So Carlos Ornelas is leaning on his veteran leadership. He's leaning on his ring experience, and it's an opportunity to be in the spotlight. This is something that doesn't come around often for fighters, let alone more than once. So it's no hesitation for Ornelas in his camp to put his hand up. People have said he was training, he was in camp, he was already looking for a fight. And so when Cabrera steps out, it was perfect for them to fill in and step right in. We're just going to see what Ornelas' game plan is going to be. What's he going to want to do? Is he going to want to take his time with Mason? Is he going to pressure and make the 20-year-old uncomfortable? Time will tell on that. Right now, let's take a closer look to see what Abdullah's been up to. Guys, Abdullah Mason 17-0 with 15 knockouts. He carries in the ring an 88% career knockout to win ratio. Now to 2,489 lightweights in the world. He's ranked number 13. The American's a southpaw, standing at 5'9" with a 74-inch reach. We last saw him fight Manuel Jaime, 16-2, knockout in the 4th. Vasquez, 26-5, knockout in the 2nd. Ohan, 19-2, knockout in the 2nd. LeBron, 20-5, knockout in the 3rd. Ron, 14-5, knockout in the 4th. Like I told you earlier, this is going to be Mason's first 10-round fight, so that, in a way, stepping up. He's putting himself in a position to have another high-profile showcase performance. You got to think that he's going to want to go in there and make quick work of the 30-year-old Mexican. The southpaw's electrifying. We've seen him get tested as well. People will try to hate and try to say the fight that he got knocked down, that he doesn't have a chin, but if you ask me, he didn't get knocked out. When I see a 20-year-old overcome adversity early in his career, and he overcomes that in the same fight, I'm saying that's a gift. He gets to take that with him moving forward. Now he doesn't have that thought in the back of his head like, damn, I wonder if I could take a shot, or damn, I wonder if I get popped or clipped and knocked down in a fight, can I overcome it? Mason has those answers. You can't say that about all the other boxers. You can't say that about undefeated fighters who've never been dropped. Not saying that every fighter wants to be 20 years old and have to learn that lesson like Mason learned the lesson, but as fans, rather than flipping it on its back and saying that was a bad thing, I like to look at that adversity and say that it was a good thing. Let's look at Las Vegas real quick with these odds. The sports bet app I use here in Sydney isn't letting us bet on any of the prop bets, but it is allowing us to bet on the fight, which the odds are crazy. $1.01, meaning $100 on Mason just to win, you get $1 back. Ornelas is coming into this fight, I mean, for various reasons. His age, his record, the late replacement, no fight camp, 26-1, which is a huge underdog. It's been a while since we've covered a fight that had the opponent as a 26-1 dog. If these odds open up later on in the week regarding, oh, I'm allowed to take knockout or method of victory, I'll let you know in the community section on our channel. For now, I wouldn't even put this on a parlay because the juice isn't worth the squeeze. $1 on 100. I was always told leave fights like that alone, but I'm going to predict right now. I predict Abdullah Mason to knock out Ornelas, late replacement. I think Ornelas is tailor-made. That style is going to come forward. Mason's going to want to prove to everybody that his trajectory is still skyrocketing to the top, and I don't expect anything different. He has a good camp. He has a good head on his shoulders. I expect him to be fully focused, and it's only a matter of time before we see Abdullah Mason headlining. Now, in the comment section below, what do you make of Ornelas? What do you make of his opportunity, his chances? Is anybody watching this giving Chinito a chance to win?
Uppercut moments ago. Oh, and he scores the knockdown with a straight. Going straight back this time is Wilson. And he follows with a big left hand.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight at 140 pounds between the undefeated Mexican Olympian Lindolfo Delgado and the Dominican kid Elvis Rodriguez. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please like this video? Also, remember to subscribe. 80% of you guys who watch my content haven't hit the subscribe button yet. That'll really help me out. Also, go to the bottom of the screen right now and hit the bell notification button so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, we have a busy weekend of fights. There's fight cards all over the world. This one takes place on the fight card in Las Vegas. This is the co-feature of the main event between Richard Torrez Jr. and Guido Vianello. So in this video, we're going to break down both fighters' careers, what they've been up to, what's at stake in this fight. We know the 140-pound division has a lot of fighters. It's really top-heavy as well. The champions currently are Teofimo Lopez, Richardson Hitchens, Alberto Puello, and Gary Antoine Russell. So this is what I call a do-or-die fight for guys that One has the sparkly, shiny record, never lost, and the other only has one loss. And you would think, well, in this day and age of boxing, how is this a must-win? Well, these guys want to fight for titles. One's already 30 years old, one's 29 years old. With Elvis Rodriguez, we're talking about a flashy southpaw from the Dominican Republic. It was only a few years ago where people were talking about him as a potential world champion. Now, he has one loss to Kenneth Sims Jr., and he's trying to get back on that superstardom track, that trajectory where social media is talking about you, where your fight highlights are going viral. And that's what I mean by must-win for both guys. With the Mexican Landolfo Delgado undefeated, he's going to go in there and want to prove a point. The Orthodox fighter is going to press the action and also want to create a highlight reel which goes viral. And you got to think whoever comes out on top is going to put themselves in a position for a world title fight. So right now, let's remind everybody what's at stake this Saturday night in Las Vegas. Guys, Elvis Rodriguez is fighting Landolfo Delgado on Saturday night in Vegas. He points to his experience as the X factor for how he plans on winning. It's what I spoke about yesterday in my breakdown of the Abdullah Mason fight when I talked about how Mason getting knocked down is a good thing moving forward, considering he overcame that adversity in the fight and won via knockout. And this is what the Dominican is referring to as well, his experience of knowing how to overcome adversity in relation to the Mexican having never lost. Rodriguez is 17-1-1 with 13 knockouts and was on top of the world in 2021. He was doing a guitar dance after his knockout victory in homage to Elvis Presley and looked to be a future main event fighter at junior welterweight. Then he lost to Kenneth Sims Jr. in 2021. Rodriguez, a 29-year-old from the Dominican Republic, has won 6 straight fights since, but hasn't had that same excitement he garnered during that run. And I quote, "I dealt with the loss. I got over it and I got better. So rather than an advantage, I would say that it gives me a lot of experience," Rodriguez said. "We've worked very hard and intelligently, and thank God at Wildcard Boxing, there's always good sparring." Rodriguez trains with Freddie Roach and Marvin Zamudio at Wildcard Boxing Gym in Hollywood, California. The bout is the most consequential fight of Rodriguez's career. Rodriguez, like most fighters, sees himself as the top guy in the division. "I fought better opponents than my opponents Saturday night," Rodriguez added. "I see myself as the best fighter at 140 pounds. I'm going to demonstrate that, and it's going to open doors to face even better opposition." The Mexican, Landolfo Delgado, who's 22-0 with 16 knockouts, is a former Olympian dating back to 2016. He's looking to propel himself into the mix of a title shot as well. In December, Delgado stopped Jackson Marinez via knockout. He has stopped 3 out of his last 4 opponents, with the exception being a split decision win over Brian Flores. He's the bout as a potential title eliminator. And I quote, "I think this fight will open doors. I think it could open the doors for a title eliminator fight or a world title shot." And this is exactly what I mean. Combined, these guys only have 1 loss. Both guys are representing whole countries. We love to see a Mexican versus Dominican Republic fight. It's going to be Orthodox versus Southpaw. Right now, I want to take a closer look at the Dominican kid's resume, see what Rodriguez has been up to. Guys, Elvis Rodriguez is 17-1-1. He has 13 knockouts and carries into the ring a 77% career knockout to win ratio. Out of 2,660 140-pound fighters in the world, he is ranked number 22. The 29-year-old Dominican is a southpaw standing at 5'10" with a 71-inch reach, and his adoring fans call him the Dominican Kid. He hails from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. We last saw him fight Kendo Castaneda, 21-6, UD in the 10th. Gino Rodrigo, 12-3, UD in the 10th. Victor Postal, 31-4, knockout in the 7th. Adorno, 17-1, majority decision in the 10th. Velasco, 23-2, knockout in the 7th. So we talked about what he's done since his only loss to Sims Jr. He's 6-0. We have to remember, though, just last weekend we featured Kendo Tremendo on the channel. He was fighting Tiger Johnson, and we saw what happened to Castaneda. He got knocked out. So when we talk about, and the writers are writing about how Rodriguez is trying to get back to those highlights, this is what I mean. He fought Kendo Castaneda to a decision. So you got to think he's going into this fight to prove a point. He has an opportunity against an undefeated fighter. He has an opportunity against an Olympian, and he also has an opportunity to show out. It's going to be a tough fight. Both guys aren't going to be taking too many steps backwards, and both guys are looking at this fight to propel them to the next level. Now let's take a closer look at his opponent, the Mexican Olympian and undefeated contender, Landolfo Delgado. Guys, Delgado's 22-0 with 16 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 73% career knockout to win ratio, and out of 2,660 140-pound fighters in the world, he's ranked number 15. The Mexican is an orthodox fighter standing at 5'9", and the 30-year-old has a 68-inch reach. He hails from Linares, Nuevo Leon, Mexico. We last saw him fight Jackson Marinus, 22-3, knockout in the 5th. Brian Flores was undefeated. He beat him via split decision in the 10th. Carlos Sanchez, 25-2, knockout in the 7th. Luis Ramos, 23-3, knockout in the 4th. Valtieri, 16-2, UD in the 10th. When I think about fighters at this stage of both guys' careers, one's 29, one just turned 30. They've never fought for a world title. They both talk about how this could be a world title contender fight. You got to think this is the biggest step up in both of their careers. You have one in the Dominican saying that he's fought better opponents, and you have Delgado, the Mexican, talking about the biggest moment in his life is right now. So we have to think they're both going to come in shape. They're both going to be at their best. And I think this is going to be a treat for fight fans. It's one of the fights that I've been most looking forward to, not only on this card, but all the fights this weekend. When I look at the guys side by side, a lot of things cancel out. Their height, the Dominican's going to have a slight reach advantage. When you look at the styles and stances, orthodox versus southpaw, the Dominican's going to be the southpaw. It's going to come down to the center of the ring in terms of who controls their lead foot. Which one is going to walk their opponent into their backhand, their power side. And both guys are going to be looking to land power shots and want to get a knockout. Right now, I want to take a closer look at what Las Vegas has these odds. And guys, it's not quite a coin flip, but it's close. All right, remember, I'm using the Sports Bet app down here in Sydney, Australia. The odds currently are only letting us bet on the money line. There aren't any prop bets up or method of victory, so I can't pick decision. I can't pick knockout. I just have to pick one to win. If that changes as we get closer to fight night, pay attention to the community section on our channel, and I'll update you on what I'm going to put on my parlay like always. I do this every week. All right, guys, $100 on Delgado to win gets you 72 back. $100 on Rodriguez to win gets you 225 back. So Elvis Rodriguez is the slight underdog. If you think that this fight's going to go to a draw, 17-1. Now, when I'm thinking about price per value, this is a great fight to put a lot of money on and just pick a winner. I know some of you guys are heavy hitters. You guys message me on Instagram. I'm not going to say any names, but I'm impressed and I admire how you guys bet. I have a guy who he'll put $15,000 on just one fight, and it'll be a fight with the odds similar to this, rather than put 5-6 fights on a parlay. Now, I'm not gambling to get rich. I gamble for the entertainment value, and I also gamble to keep me up to date on what's happening on the fight cards, as well as to give you guys an insight on where to put your money at. It's like what we always talk about. So if you want to put this on a parlay, it adds value to that. If you have money to spend, it also has value to that with the less stress of needing other fights to come through. So when I'm thinking about putting my money on, based on their experience, based on the styles, the moment, what's at stake, I'm going to go all in on the Mexican Orthodox Olympian, Landolfo Delgado. I feel he has a little bit more spark right now in terms of where he's going in his career. Hey, look, I could be wrong. This is just a coin flip. I like the Dominican. I like the southpaw. It just comes down to the psychology and the style and the risk-taking of this fight. I think Landolfo Delgado is going to be pushing the pace more. I think his arsenal is going to be a bit too much, and I think having that, once again, I always talk about Olympic pedigree. When things go wrong in the fight, in terms of making on-the-moment adjustments, I got to give it to the guy with the Olympic experience. You can't talk about enough about the discipline, the strategy, and the fight IQ of a fighter who makes it all the way to represent their country, becomes a pro, especially a knockout artist who's undefeated with a 73% career knockout to ratio. So I'm putting all in on the Mexican. I think that he's going to beat the Dominican fighter and continue on his push to fight for a world title. In the comment section below, you don't have to agree with me. How do you see this fight going? Is it going to be the Dominican, the southpaw, in Elvis Rodriguez? Will we be seeing him playing the guitar? Or will it be the Mexican Delgado continuing on his streak to becoming a world champion? What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's main event heavyweight clash between the American Olympian Richard Torrez Jr. the Italian Olympic slugger Guido Vianello. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please hit subscribe? Could you also like this video, as well as go down to the bottom of the screen right now and hit that bell notification button so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, all week we've been going over, previewing, analyzing, and predicting this top rank card taking place this weekend in Vegas. Finally, we're at the coup de grace, the main event. The heavyweights take over between 6'2" southpaw Kiki Torrez Jr. and the giant Italian 6'6" slugger Guido Vianello. Guys, we know both gentlemen have been promoted by Top Rank their entire careers. Both guys want huge fights, and this is kind of like who sits at the top of the mountain within our sort of umbrella, and whoever wins this one probably is going to get a huge fight next. Vianello's more of a little bit of a slugger, a little bit of a brawler, tends to come in and throw bombs, a little bit more reckless than his opponent. He does have 2 losses. One was a split decision loss to a very tough Ajaba. The heavyweight division, we know these guys are so giant, mostly everyone has power in terms of you get touched once in the wrong spot, you could go out. So you have to mind your P's and Q's, you have to be defensively sound, and you have to take your shots when they come. The heavyweight division is one of these divisions. If you get on your front foot and overswing and force something that isn't there, you could get countered and be made to pay and wake up on your back. So that's why the heavyweight division is exciting, and people are excited about this fight. With Kiki Torrez, this is an American Olympian. This is a beloved fighter. His fan base is growing with every fight. He only turned pro in 2022. He has an exciting style as well. He's very aggressive. But the southpaw is a little bit more defensively, technically sound. He does take risks, and he loves a firefight. We just haven't seen yet in his short career anyone make him pay for it. His knockout streak ended by a disqualification, which is wild when you think about it. He's knocked everybody out except one, and the one guy he didn't knock out got DQ'd because he spit his mouthpiece out. So in this video, we're going to be going over this fight a little bit more in detail, see what the guys have been up to. Stay tuned to the end of the video because I will give you my prediction, and we'll talk about those Vegas odds and show you where to make the most out of your money. Now let's talk a little bit about this event in Vegas this weekend. Guys, rising heavyweights Richard Torrez Jr. and Guido the Gladiator Vianello will clash in a high-stakes 10-round main event on Saturday, April 5th at the Pro Concert Theater at Palms Casino Resort in Vegas. Torrez, a U.S. Olympic silver medalist, takes a seismic step up in class against the battle-tested Italian Olympian. Promoted by Top Rank, the entire Torrez-Vianello card will stream live and exclusively on ESPN Plus in the U.S. This has all the makings of a heavyweight classic. 2 athletic big men with power and tremendous determination, said Top Rank chairman Bob Arum. Top Rank has promoted Richard and Guido from the start of their respectful professional careers, and I look forward to seeing how the fight unfolds at the Palms Casino Resort. Torrez, who hails from the farming community of Tulare, California, captured Olympic silver in the super heavyweight division in Tokyo. A southpaw volume puncher, he turned pro the following March with a second-round stoppage of Alan Nelson. Torrez, a high school valedictorian who builds model rockets in his spare time, has since skyrocketed himself from prospect to contender. Last May, he dismantled fellow unbeaten Brandon Moore in 5 rounds. His knockout streak ended last September, like I told you guys, after Joey Duechko was disqualified for repeatedly spitting out his mouthpiece. Torrez got back on the knockout train in December with the 3rd round blitzing of Mexico's Isaac Munoz. And I quote, "This is something I've been working towards a long time," Torrez said. "I want to prove that I'm the best heavyweight out there and show what American heavyweights are made of. When they offered me Guido, I didn't hesitate. I'm ready to go." End quote. Born and raised in Rome, Vianello, who's 13-2-1 with 11 KOs, had 4 first-round knockouts in his 7 fights before being held to a draw against King Libe. He reignited his career in 2024 with a first-round stoppage of Moses Johnson and a split decision defeat to top contender F.A. Ajagba in a Fight of the Year candidate. Last August, he traveled to Quebec City, Canada, and beat down local favorite Arslanbek Makhmudov en route to an 8th-round TKO. He now hopes to upend another decorated home country hero, and I quote, Vianello said, "I'm excited for this fight. After fighting Makhmudov, I showed I was ready for anyone. Richard is a talented young fighter, but he's never faced anyone like me. I will show myself to be Top Rank's best heavyweight and move on to challenge for world titles." End quote. Guys, this is exciting. One 6'6", one 6'2". Stylistically, heavyweights. You got orthodox versus southpaw. They're both going to be throwing punches and bunches. It's going to come down to who can take whose shot better, who's more resilient, who has the better chin, and who finds the mark. Accuracy is going to be a key here, so don't forget about that. Now let's take a closer look at what Guido Vianello's been up to in his career. Guys, the Italian's 13-2-1 with 11 knockouts. He carries into the ring an 85% career knockout to win ratio. And out of 1,553 heavyweights in the world, he's ranked number 25. I should also mention he's the number 1 ranked heavyweight out of 18 in Italy. His adoring fans call him the Gladiator, and the 30-year-old Italian's an orthodox fighter standing at 6'6" with a 79-inch reach. We last saw him fight Makhmudov 19-1, knockout in the 8th. Ajagba 19-1, lost to split in the 10th. Moses Johnson 11-1, knockout in the 1st. Harper 14-9, won a UD in the 8th. Jonathan Rice 15-6, he got knocked out in the 7th. All it takes is one bad decision, one bad moment, one moment of lapse, of mental non-focusing in a fight in this division, and you could end up with your lights out. It's going to be a fun fight to watch how that narrative plays out, and I'm banking on things are going to start off right off the bat. I don't expect too big of a feeling out process. Fighting is in these guys' DNA. They're both under the top-ranked banner. They're headlining their own event. It's going to be fun. Let's take a closer look at Kiki. Guys, Richard Torrez Jr. is 12-0 with 11 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 92% career knockout to win ratio. Out of 1,553 heavyweights, he's ranked number 21st in the world. And of the 374 in America, he's number 3. The 25-year-old American's a southpaw standing at 6'2" with a 76-inch reach. He hails from Tulare, California, USA. We last saw him fight Munoz Gutierrez, 18-1, knockout in the 3rd. Deweco, 28-11, that was the DQ in the 5th for spinning the mouthpiece out. Moore, 14-0, knockout in the 5th. Hainsworth, 18-8, knockout in the 1st. Harper, 14-10, knockout in the 8th. So guys, with Richard Torrez Jr., it's interesting. Until you look up his stats and you look up how big he is, I don't think many people understand that he's 6'2" with a really long reach. When you watch him fight in the ring on your TV, he moves like a lighter guy. He doesn't move like a giant dude, and that's what makes him scary. His explosivity, his volume, his cardio, his power. And coming from that southpaw angle, he wings punches from an unorthodox angle sometimes and catches guys right on the chin. He's an accurate puncher for a heavyweight as well. When I look at both guys side by side, obviously 6'6", 6'2". Is Torrez Jr., is Kiki going to be able to make up that distance and range with his jab? And will the Italian be able to make Torrez Jr. pay for it when he's coming in? It's going to come down once again to that front lead foot. Orthodox versus southpaw. One's going to want to circle away from the power, and one's going to want to walk his opponent into that power side. You got to think Torrez Jr. is going to want to use his lead jab, slip, and then walk Guido into that backhand, walking him onto something. And I could definitely see that happening. But then again, I could see Guido popping his jab, bang, bang, and walking Torrez Jr. with his aggression into his backhand. We don't have those answers, but right now I want to take a look at those Vegas odds and see where the bettors, where you guys are putting your money. As of now, the Sportsbet app down here in Australia has Richard Torrez Jr. as the favorite. $100 on the money line gets you 44 in return. 17-1 on the draw. I don't know the last time we saw a heavyweight draw. The last time I watched a heavyweight draw in person, I think it was Tyson Fury and Wilder. Anyway, Guido Vianello is the underdog. 3-1, almost exactly. $100 gets you 300 back if you pick Guido just to win. Now the method of victory, here's some fun bets, something for you guys to think about, either to take it outright or put on your parlay. Torrez Jr. to win a points decision, 3-1. So you go from getting $44 on the money line to 300 on the 100 if he wins a decision. Meaning though, if Torrez Jr. knocks Guido out, you lose your bet. Torrez Jr. by knockout, 235. So 100 gets you 235 back. He's a knockout artist. That's a fun bet. Guido to win a decision, almost 6-1. And the same odds on Guido to win by knockout, 6-1. So the money on Guido, people are saying that they could possibly see him winning a decision if he does win in the same statistics and ratio of him winning by knockout, 570-1. But with Richard Torrez, all the money, obviously due to his 12-0 record, 11 knockouts, him being a knockout artist, all the money's going on that 2-1 for Torrez knocking Guido out. Here's my prediction. I like the way both guys carries themselves, but it always has to come back down when you have these rising contenders, in my opinion, from a psychological perspective. Have you been knocked out before? Have you lost before? That matters, guys, and I can't speak on that enough regarding going into a high-stakes fight like this. The risks you're going to take. Are you going to hesitate? Are you going to fight like you've always fought? And all that being said, I'm going to take that method of victory bet. I think Torrez Jr., I think Kiki is going to find a home for his backhand, and I think he's going to knock Guido out. In the comment section below, you don't have to agree with me. Let me know how you guys think this fight's going to go. Are you taking the American? Or are you taking the Italian?
Like, revenge is not a pretty thing, brother.
I'm going to render you useless.
Oh, brother, you can try. Everyone knows where Western Sydney is. You go out to Mount Druitt and you see the talent that's out there. From where I grew up, I shouldn't be under the bright lights. But I'm here because I've earned my spot to be in this chair right now. I'm preparing my whole life just to be here. Your little few months of preparation, it's in comparison, bro.
We're boxers. We don't come from, silver spoon families. Everyone's got their own story. I've been through it all. I've grown through it all. 12 years outside the ring taught me a whole lot about life, and I've done a whole lot of shit. Every time I walk into that ring, I take it all in there with me.
Liam.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning the heavyweight fight on the undercard of Tszyu versus Joey Spencer this weekend in Newcastle, Australia, between Brandon Grach and the southpaw from Western Sydney, Liam Talivaa. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please hit the subscribe button? Also, like this video and be sure to go down to the bottom of your screen right now and hit the bell notification button so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, it's not every day that I feature a fight between two fighters with a combined 10 total fights. But this matchup is super exciting, and you guys follow me long enough that I use my channel to not only tell the story of the big international fights, but to tell the story of boxers. And this matchup has a very intriguing story connected within it. So we're gonna go over each fighter's resume, albeit short. Both guys only have a few pro fights, only have a few pro rounds, but this is a rematch between Newcastle's own Brandon Grach. He won the first fight. We have to remember this card is taking place in Newcastle, so he's going to be the hometown boy. And Western Sydney banger southpaw Liam Talivaa. Now, the first fight was heralded as one of the fights of the year, round of the year contender. It only went to the second round, and the fight was over within the first 10 seconds of the second round. So I'm going to have that whole fight. Actually, just go to the description and you'll see it. Due to copyright law, I can't play all the footage from the fight, but we'll go over some of that today. We're going to go over both guys' resumes. Also, Las Vegas is letting us bet on this fight, so stay tuned to the end of the video and I will give you my prediction. Firstly, I want to give a shout out to Glenn Jennings. He's the guy behind Team Tszyu, the management. He's been managing all the Tszyu since Costa, Nikita. He also is Brandon Grach's manager, and I want to give a special shout to Liam as well. This is why I'm featuring this fight. I used to do work with some of the fighters out of Liam's old gym, Bondi Boxing Club, when he was coached by Tony Del Vecchio, and that's where I first personally met Liam. It was right after the pandemic. He either was about to turn pro or just had his first few pro fights, and I'm walking around documenting and managing another fighter, and I saw him training, getting his hands wrapped, and I sat down and interviewed him. So that interview is actually on the channel. It's a couple years old now, and I remember thinking to myself when I saw Liam getting his hands wrapped, and then I asked him if he had a couple minutes, talking to him, so nice, such a humble guy, very likable, and I remember thinking to myself, and this is more often than not, guys, if you've never been around fighters, if you've never been to a fight gym, fighters are the most humble guys you'll ever meet, especially if they trained long enough to know what it's like to go into sparring. And the reason why the humility is there, because in sparring, this is where we get beat up. You get beat up, you take your shots, and you learn how to carry yourself like a true warrior. So every man who steps into the ring and every woman knows what it's like to be humbled, and this is why if you ever cross paths with any fighter, they're usually really nice people. And Liam was exactly that. He gets his hands wrapped, puts his gloves on, starts hitting the pads. Tony's holding the pads, and I just start hearing snap, pop, pop, and I'm like, damn, everybody in the gym stopped what they were doing and you just watch Liam hit the pads. And I was like, who is this guy? He's one half of this matchup, and my dad always said, bet with your wallet, not with your heart. So stay tuned, I'll tell you where I'm going with. But the first fight was fireworks. Liam came out brawling. The first 10 seconds, it looked like they were rock'em sock'em robots. It was almost kind of like they made a decision in the locker room to say, hey, look, let's try to knock each other out. Let's not go the distance. It was only a 6-round fight. In that first round, within a span of 30 seconds, Liam catches Brandon Grach and clips him. They're swinging, banging. Liam catches him with a beautiful shot. Grach goes down. That shot would have knocked anybody out cold. Grach is a big boy, overcomes it, and shows his resiliency. I think even Liam was surprised that Grach stood up. I guarantee Liam's never caught somebody with that shot and they got up from it. Anyway, Grach gets up from it. Within 10 to 15 seconds later, at the end of that first round, Grach catches Liam and drops Talivaa. These guys are banging. The round comes to an end, and the whole place was on its feet. Sean Porter was there commentating. Ben Damon was commentating, one of Australia's guys who does all these fights. In the first 10 seconds of the very next round, no feeling out process. They start brawling, and Talivaa gets caught with a shot and gets knocked out cold. Grach was instantly put on the Australian heavyweight landscape. This is a guy that had a stellar amateur career, and then he disappears from the sport for 10 or more years and then just shows up, and that's where we are today. 32 years old with 3 pro fights. So right now, let's take a closer look at that short pro career of Grach. Brandon Grach is 3-0 with 2 knockouts out of 1,553 heavyweights. He's ranked 119 in the world, and out of 69 in Australia, he's number 7. He has a career 67% knockout to win ratio and has fought a career pro 9 rounds. His adoring fans call him the Bull, and the 32-year-old Australian is a 6'4" orthodox fighter residing in Newcastle, New South Wales. He last fought Mela, 6-0, knockout in the 3rd. Talivaa, 5-0, knocked out in the 2nd. Linde, 1-0, majority decision in the 4th. So it's no secret, guys. We know what both gentlemen are going to go in there to do. Talivaa is a different team from the first fight, and Grach is with the same old team. So I'm going to be interested to see the game planning. If it's business as usual, they tap gloves and just go right at it, or if because both guys have been knocked down, there's going to be a bit of a feeling out process. And a couple years have passed. The stakes are as high as ever. They get another feature on a huge Tszyu card. So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out. Let's take a closer look at Talivaa. Guys, Liam is 6-1 with 2 knockouts. Out of 1,553 heavyweights in the world, he's ranked 234, and out of 69 in Australia, he's 14th. He has 7 career pro rounds. He has a 33% career knockout to win ratio. The Australian's a southpaw, standing at 6'1" with a 72-inch reach. We last saw the 30-year-old fight last July against Linde, 4-1, won a UD. The Grach fight the first time was in November of 2023. That's when he had his only loss, knocked out in the 2nd. Licky, knocked out in the 1st. Secco, majority decision in the 4th. Marsters, he won a UD in the 4th. So this fight takes place on the undercard. Like I said, if you Americans have any way of watching this card, tune into this fight. I can't say it enough. Watch the highlights from the first fight. There is bad blood with this matchup. Both guys sat down to do interviews this week, and nothing has changed. You know that Grach wants to get it back and show the world that it wasn't just a flash in the pan, and Talivaa wants to definitely get his get back and put the Aussie heavyweight boxing community on notice.
Revenge is not a pretty thing, brother.
I'm going to render you useless.
Oh, brother, you can try. Everyone knows where Western Sydney is. You go out to Mount and you see the talent that's out there. From where I grew up, I shouldn't be under the bright lights, but I'm here because I've earned my spot to be in this chair right now. I've been preparing my whole life just to be here. Your little few months of preparation, it's in comparison, bro.
We're boxers. We don't come from, silver spoon families. Everyone's got their own story. I've been through it all. I've grown through it all. 12 years outside the ring taught me a whole lot about life, and I've done a whole lot of shit. Every time I walk into that ring, I take it all in there with me.
Guys, Las Vegas is letting us bet on this. So the app that I use is called SportsBet. Let's take a look at those odds. All right, it's letting us do the money line. So right now, if you put $100 on Brandon, he's a $1.43 favorite. So 100 gets you 43 back. 17-1 is usually pretty standard on boxing with the draw. Talivaa, 3-1 underdog. So $100 would get you 300 in return. Now, this is a fight that has history, that has bad blood. Brandon Grach is the victor. He was going into the first fight as an underdog, I should also mention. Because of the way that ended, he's the favorite here. I'm going to put this fight on a parlay. Now, when I put all my bets, like I always do, go to the community section and you'll see it there. I'm going to go against my dad's advice here, and this is a fun fight to document, and this is going to be a fun fight to watch. I'm putting my money on a parlay for God's son, Liam Talivaa, to get his redemption, to go in there, to go in Newcastle. He's going to be hearing all the boos. I think the Southpaw is going to be ready for redemption, and I think maybe we might be able to set up to see an Australian trilogy. Guys only have 10 total fights, and this is the beautiful part of the sport of boxing, because every now and then you get moments like this, guys on the come up who get to create their own legacy. In the comment section below, let me know what you think about this fight. Let me know who's going to win. Will we see Brandon Grach going 2-0 against Talivaa, or will it be a 1-1 during the grudge match?
Talent discrepancy when you're a young guy in the ring. Big right hand, and down goes Selden.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight in Newcastle, Australia at 154 pounds between the Aussie Tszyu and the American Joey Spencer. Guys, before we continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. My YouTube analytics tell me that 80% of you guys who watch my content haven't hit subscribe yet. So could you please help me out and do that now? Also, be sure to like this video and go down to the bottom of your screen where you see that little bell icon. Click that for me so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, the return of Tszyu goes down in a few days right here in Australia. Tszyu Castle. They call it the house that Tszyu built. I'm referring to a town about an hour and a half north of Sydney, Newcastle, along the coastline. His father fought there for years. Tim built his career there. His brothers fought there. There was a statistic going around this week in Australia. The Tszyus are something like 50-something-0 at this place. So Joey Spencer does have the odds stacked up against him. In this video, I'm going to remind everybody who each fighter is. We're going to talk about how they go about their business, what their resumes look like. Stay tuned to the end of the video because I will be giving you my prediction. We'll look at those Las Vegas odds as well as our online YouTube poll. We'll go over those results as well. Guys, we last saw Joey Spencer this past December. He got a victory over Miguel Hernandez, a decision. Now, he has one loss on his impressive record. The 25-year-old, his only setback was a brutal stoppage to Jesus Ramos. And we know how tough of an out Jesus Ramos Jr. is. We just watched him and featured him a couple weeks ago on the channel, and he's continuing his uprise trajectory to becoming a world champion. So that's no knock on Joey Spencer. That is a tough out. That fight, the way that played out, he got clipped early, went down in the first round. And in the 7th round, it was his corner. If you guys didn't know, his father coaches him. His father told the ref to stop the fight. It wasn't one-sided like it was early, though. If you replay that fight, the middle round, Spencer fought back. He showed his grit. At the time, he was undefeated, just like Ramos. And his dad thought his son was taking too much, stopped the fight. Since then, he's gone 3-0. By far, this is his biggest step up in competition. He has Tszyu waiting for him in Newcastle. We know the trials and tribulations of Tszyu. We know about the fighting family. His father was a world champion. His grandpa Boris coached his dad. Boris still coaches Tim and Nikita. Tim's little brother Nikita's undefeated here in Australia. So this family has boxing running through their blood and DNA. He has hit a bit of a roadblock lately in his career, and it's wild to think about what happened against Fundora versus where he is now. What could have been if they would have stopped that fight, and it gets called a technical draw or no contest due to the cut, rather than him losing a split decision, losing his belt, and then jumping back on the wagon against a brutal Russian Bakr Murtazaev that nobody calls out, nobody says his name, and we know how that fight went. So this is Tszyu's comeback fight. He's calling it his redemption tour. The storyline is interesting on both fighters. Joey Spencer is going to use Tszyu to see where he's at in his career. He's going to use him as a gauge. He feels that he's where he needs to be, and he hasn't reached his full potential yet, and he thinks Tszyu is peaked, and Tim just thinks it's going to be business as usual. He feels he's had a few speed bumps in the past, but this is going to put him right back on track to fighting for a world title. So right now, I do want to take a little bit of a closer look at Joey Spencer's career. Guys, Joey Spencer's 19-1 with 11 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 58% career knockout to win ratio. The American is 25 years old and he stands at 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. He's an orthodox fighter. He hails from Fenton, Michigan, USA. We last saw him fight Miguel Hernandez 9-0, majority decision in the 10th. Gonzalez 21-6, knockout in the 5th. Zalski 11-24, he won a UD in the 6th. He fought Jesus Ramos back in March of 2023. Ramos was 19-0. He got stopped in the 7th. Zambrano 14-0. He won a UD in the 10th. So like we talked about earlier, that Ramos loss is his only loss. Joey Spencer has a fun style. He's going to want to get into a fight. If you watch all of the media this week, it started off a bit slow, but it finished today, and they were going back and forth. The insults were being thrown, and you could see a visible change in Joey Spencer's demeanor from earlier in the week until today. Some fighters keep a cool, calm, collective, even kill approach about him all through fight week up until fight night. Joey was real loose, real calm, and then today during the press conference, if you watched it on YouTube, he was a different guy. You could see him being switched on as a different level, and it's going to be exciting to see how he goes about his business. He talks about that loss to Ramos. He learned things from that loss rather than things were taken away from him, and he feels he has the arsenal, the firepower, and the skill set to go into Australia and upset Tszyu. Now let's take a closer look at his opponent, the Soul Taker's resume. Guys, Tszyu's 24-2 with 17 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 71% career knockout to win ratio and out of 2,203 fighters at 154 pounds. He's currently ranked number 11 in the world and 1 in Australia. The 30-year-old Aussie is a 5'9" orthodox fighter with a 70-inch reach. His adoring fans know him as the Soul Taker, and he resides in Rockdale, New South Wales, Australia. We last saw him fight Murtazaev, who was 22-0. He lost via TKO in the 3rd. Seb Fandora was 20-1. He lost a split decision in the 12th. Mendoza 22-2, UD in the 12th. Ocampo 35-2, knocked him out in the 1st. Harrison 29-3, knocked him out in the 9th. Gachet 22-2, won a UT in the 12th. So Tim Tszyu was on this meteoric rise. Everybody knew his name. People still talk about it. And he was supposed to fight Errol Spence Jr. He was paired with Terrence Crawford. Do you guys remember that hit list he had created? And it only seems like yesterday that that guy was supposed to be filling out arenas. So in boxing, we know it's almost impossible to retire undefeated. We know that our favorite fighters are the guys who come back from being knocked out, who come back again and get to where they're supposed to be going and get their belts back. And Tszyu gets to write his own legacy. He gets to be the creator of that story, and it's going to be interesting how he comes out. That's why we're all going to be tuning in. We're going to see what version of Tim Tszyu are we going to get. Has he already peaked? Has he made adjustments? Is he going to come straight at him like he did Murtazaev? Will he patch up the defensive holes? Is his guard going to be high? Because you know with Joey Spencer, he's going to be firing with him. They're going to be punching together, and it's going to come down to resiliency. Whose chin is better? Who makes the proper adjustments in the firefight? When I put this poll up on our YouTube channel, let's take a look at those statistics real quick. You guys voted, and I said, who wins this fight? Tim Tszyu, Joey Spencer. I told you guys about Spencer being a 7-1 underdog, and out of almost 500 of you guys voting, I appreciate you for taking part. 70% on the dot, so 7 out of 10 pick Tszyu to win, 30% pick Spencer to win. So we know that I use the Sports Bet app down here in Australia. Let's take a look at those odds real quick. All right, guys, currently on the money line, $100 gets you $12 in return for Tszyu. 100 on Spencer gets you $7.25 back. So Spencer's close to a 7-1 underdog. 21-1 on that draw. Let's take a look at the method of victory real quick. See how these odds shift. You put 100 on Tszyu to win by points or decision. You get 3-1 back. So if he does knock Spencer out and you take the points or decision, you lose that bet. Remember that, guys. Tszyu to win by knockout's only $1.67. So Tszyu on the money line to just win goes from $1.12 to Tszyu winning by knockout $1.67. What's that telling us? All the money is picking Tszyu to knock out Joey Spencer. The only guy to beat him, the only guy to stop him, like we know, is Ramos. So that's saying something. Joey Spencer to win a points decision, 15-1. Joey Spencer to win by knockout, almost 11-1. So the Spencer fans are thinking that he has a better opportunity, or he has a better ratio of knocking Tszyu out than going the distance and winning a decision. So at the end of the day, when I look at where I'm going to put my money and I think about how these guys measure up, you know that Spencer hasn't fought at 154 since the Ramos fight. So his last 3 fights were at 156 and above. He even took some fights at 160 pounds. So will that play in a factor? Spencer's going to be the bigger dude. He's going to have a little bit of a height advantage, a little bit of a reach advantage. When it comes to that resume, the pro rounds, the experience, you're fighting Tim Tszyu, former world champion. I can't say that enough. But I'm thinking about where I'm going to put my money. I think that at 25 years old, Joey Spencer just hasn't done enough for me in terms of his victories and his wins to prove to me that he has what it takes to come down here and go into Newcastle and be the first guy to ever beat a Tszyu. So I'm taking Tim Tszyu to get back on track. I think he's going to make the adjustments. I think he's still going to have faith in his power. He's still going to have faith in his chin. I think he's going to showcase what he's been working on, and I fully expect him to be at the top of his game. At 30 years old, he's in his physical prime, and I think this is a perfect stylistic matchup for Tim Tszyu to put his name back on the map at 154 pounds. Guys, you don't have to agree with me in the comment section below. How is this going down? Is the American going to come out on top, or is Tszyu going to be business as usual? Also,